What's going on, everybody? It's your Viridian Force encounter, aPiiiiikat. And on today's episode of Design Decks, we're talking about Pokemon number 25 and godfather to Masuda's children. It's your boy Pikachu. He's been a detective, he's been a gondolier, he's been a ninja, he's been French. He's been just about everything around the world. He's kind of like Mario. He's had a billion jobs. He's been a ref, a basketball player, a cop, a cook. There's nothing this little guy can't do with his 5 fingers. I'm also going to frantically check now if he has always had 5 fingers. Just to remind myself, because I actually didn't check this time. But yes, it's Pikachu. And his less popular sibling / parent. How does that work? I don't know. His senpai, Raichu. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Both the mouse Pokemon, along with Rattata and Raticate, as well as Sandshrew and Sandslash, all three of those lines also ended up getting Alola forms, which is kind of interesting. And originally designed by Atsuko Nishida, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. I can't find if Pikachu used to always had 5 fingers. I feel like he didn't, but I'm sure you can see it in one of those card arts I have over there, my little reference images. I pulled up like 100 reference images for Pikachu because Pikachu is one of the most diverse single Pokemon in the franchise, and that's not something that anybody is unfamiliar with. If you've talked to anybody who talks about Pokemon, everyone likes to complain about skinny Pikachu, modern Pikachu, as opposed to the chubby Pikachu, as you can see on the top right and bottom right corners of the screen at this moment. Honestly, to be honest, I don't really have an issue with thinner Pikachu, and I actually really like the Pokemon Origins Pikachu that had the super round-ass, like, oval head. I didn't mind that version at all, actually. The only thing I mind about Pikachu really is, and I'd say segue here, into talking about his tail, and how you can see me struggling here trying to draw his tail. Pikachu is a Pokemon that, like I said, has many faces, many forms, many sizes and weights, but consistently throughout my life of drawing, I have had trouble drawing Pikachu. And I don't know what it is about him, but something about it. I've mentioned about Sonic characters before. I think it's something about where the neck and the body attach, since he doesn't have a neck. And just something about his arms and just all of them, but really especially his tail. The zigzag of his tail just like befuddles me, and I don't know why I can't like wrap my head around it, but I think all things considered, this one, based on just the line art you're seeing right now, I think this Pikachu came out okay. I tried to go a little bit in between with it, where I wanted it to be like modern Pikachu, where it's kind of thinner and it's got more. I think the reason modern Pikachu looks the way it does is just so that it can be more expressive and that it can throw up a little peace sign and that it can, wear a gondolier outfit and that it can wear a ninja outfit and hold a sword and everything. But I wanted to add a little bit of chonk on him, and most of that was kind of in his head, because I think that's like, maybe people don't notice as much because everybody looks at his body, because clearly you can see like the little fat Pikachu in his card art on the left there. It's really clear how his body is differently shaped, where he's not just like an egg with a tail on it anymore. But I think that his head being thinner is like one of the main things with that. Because like when you look at him in Sun and Moon, the anime, like his head's shaped like an anime character head. It's not like this where his head's like a big gumdrop. I think Pikachu with a gumdrop head would solve a lot of problems for people. But anyway, yeah, the no neck thing is relevant too, because I'm going to get into my notes here about, I don't have any paper to crumple, but here's a paper towel. Crumple that. That's me grabbing my notes, okay? So let me pull my notes up here real quick, because there was a lot of things I wanted to quote and not get wrong here. These are things that, again, I've mentioned Dr. Lava in the past. and these are things that he brought up that I've seen other people posting about as well, so I'm going to try to compile as much of this as I can off the top of my head. So, originally, I just said her name, Atsuko Nishida, had to design Pikachu, and she was given the criteria, basically gameplay criteria, that it had to be an electric type, and that it had to have 3 forms, essentially. And so when she designed Pikachu, she went for something, she described it as Daifuku shaped with ears on it. And so, like, she said that she never drew it. There's no sketch of it originally. She jumped straight to the computer and did the pixel art. And so the pixel art that you see of Pikachu in green, like red and green in Japan, that's more or less, like, that's not the original sketch. She said the original version of it is, like, gone now. But the that version that you see in that game, that was, like, basically the first, like, real Pikachu as far as what we know as Pikachu now. And that's what Sugimori based his art of Pikachu off of. I think it's a shame that Sugimori didn't keep the belly. I really like Pikachu with a white underbelly and with the dark little hands and feet. I think that's the best version of Pikachu. And the reason I have the Detective Pikachu from the movie up on the reference images as well is because originally when I was drawing him, I was going to do the little white underbelly because I really liked that. But then I didn't, so whatever. But Koji Nishino was the guy, he was one of the programmers on Gen 1, and I believe he was in charge of the cuteness factor, I believe it says here. Yeah, Nishino really loves cute things. With Pikachu, the name alone had a cute ring to it. I came to love it more and more and wanted it to be even cuter. And so he kind of like pestered Nishida to make it cuter. And she was saying how a lot of her designs at Gen 1, she was looking for a nod of approval from him. He also said that Nishino was the guy who... he said that he loved Pikachu so much he didn't want players to find it easily, so he made it difficult to find, placing it in Viridian Forest with a low appearance rate. Sugimori says it was maybe being selfish about Pikachu, but instead it made Pikachu more valuable. Nishino says among players it was treated as the first rare Pokemon to appear in the game. That made everybody want it, and articles on how to catch Pikachu appeared in strategy books. As a result, everybody had a Pikachu, so his plan completely backfired. But I think that's kind of funny of him just wanting to keep this one Pokemon all to himself. It's kind of cute. I guess he was the cuteness expert on the team, so it makes sense that he was kind of cute too. Additionally, like I mentioned before, another one of those things that like everybody knows about Pikachu is that Pikachu was originally designed to have 3 forms, electric type with 3 forms. They ended up doing away with the 3rd form that had been created before, which was the Pokemon Gorochu, which everybody's pretty familiar with at this point, I think. Everyone has seen that fan art of the red Raichu looking thing with the horns and the spiky ears and everything. It was described as having 2 horns and fangs and looking like a thunder god. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. And I want that brought back. Like, I want that idea followed through with. But now that Pichu exists, it's basically dead forever, and that makes me really upset. Because I actually prefer Raichu over Pikachu. I know there's like a subset of people in general now who, like, not to be hipsters, but prefer Raichu over Pikachu. And I think a lot of it just comes from the fact that Raichu has been kind of shafted ever since Pikachu got so popular. It's like Pikachu gets, like, a Gigantamax form, and Pikachu gets, like, you know, Volt Tackle and all these, like, Z moves and shit. And then, like, Raichu got an Alolan form eventually, and it's one of my favorite Pokemon in general. But, you know, other than Alolan Raichu, he's been kind of slept on ever since Pikachu's, like, burst in popularity. Raichu, one thing I always liked about Raichu, and the reason I drew him kind of in the pose that he's in, is I like that he's got his hands always look kind of punchy to me, like he's got little fists, because he loses all of his fingers when he evolves. I don't know why it loses all of its fingers when it evolves, but it always had like kind of little, like maybe little boxing glove kind of things. That's why I drew it kind of like punchy, because they're actually, if I remember correctly, they have sort of like interchangeable attack and special attack stats. So like you can run it physical, like you can run them with Volt Tackle and like Grass Knot and stuff like that. But I think people tend to run Raichu as special because it learns Nasty Plot, And basically, if a Pokemon learned Nasty Plot, run it special. That's what I've learned in my time. Even like I was just messing with a Skuntank in a Sword and Shield recently, and it's the same situation of like amazing physical move pool, slightly better physical attack, but it learns Nasty Plot, so just run Nasty Plot. But I think it's really cool about Raichu too is that it gets like setup moves and it can kind of do that sort of thing. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so Pikachu also, I don't know, because it was originally designed off of like a Daifuku and it didn't really have like, I remember reading somewhere that Nishida hadn't even intended for it to be a mouse originally. That's just kind of like how people perceived it. Because it's got a little weird like antenna. They're not like proper ears. It has a little weird antenna and it's got like a jaggedy tail and everything and the stripes on its back. And like it doesn't necessarily look like a mouse, but then there's also the story that it's based off of a Pika mouse and that's why it's called Pikachu. So I don't know what's up with that, like the origin of Pikachu himself. I do know when I was looking at Raichu has like longer legs. Like you can see it where he's got, like I made him kind of weird where he's like standing up more in this artwork. But you can see in like his sprites and in his official artwork, he's standing up taller like on his back legs. He still doesn't have proper like, he doesn't have like Mewtwo legs, but he's got like, he stands up like kind of a kangaroo rat is what I was seeing. Like certain types of gerbils and then kangaroo rats were what people were sort of saying he was probably based on in a way. And I can see that, but I like that I like how much taller he is and how he has like more of a upright posture than like, because Pikachu like does stand upright, especially now, but Raichu looks like a natural evolution of Pikachu. Other than like, I don't know what the fuck is up with the ears. I mean, I think they're cute, but like, I think that was why, as a kid, I never was into Raichu too much, because I'm like, what happened to your ears, bro? But I think it's cute now. And I like the little yellow cheek pouches and everything, and it's just... I think I mentioned it with Charmeleon before, is that when the evolution is a little bit darker, it's like the same color, but like a couple shades down. I think that Raichu, like, being kind of oranger instead of yellow, it looks, like, older. It looks bigger, more evolved, I guess. So I've always been a big fan of, well, not always, like I just said. As a kid, I didn't like love it a whole lot, but ever since sort of wising up to the world, I've certainly always appreciated Raichu. The Pokedex says that when Raichu builds up its electrical energy, it actually glows in the dark, so that's really cool too. And I don't know why we don't have a glow in the dark Raichu amiibo. Please, Nintendo, if you're watching this. First of all, please don't copyright claim this. Second of all, get me a glow-in-the-dark Detective Raichu amiibo. Detective Fat Fuck, my boy. And Raichu, ironically, also uses its tail as a ground to protect itself from its own electrical discharges. And I say ironically because if anybody remembers in the Pokemon anime, that's how Pikachu defeated it, was that it stood up on its tail so that the electricity seeking the path of least resistance to the ground would go through him and back into the floor, and then he would not be electrocuted. Incredible. Yeah, and I always like that its tail kind of looks like a big sword too. It's kind of funny. And oddly enough, like, again, I didn't draw Alolan Raichu for this because that, like I said before, Alolan and Pokemon are all going to get their own separate thing. But it is interesting that Alolan Raichu is all, tail surfing and everything as its main deal. And regular Raichu in Pokemon Stadium actually surfs on its tail when it uses the move Surf. And so that's kind of a fun little Easter egg there. That's one of those things where, like, I think I mentioned before how, like, with Charmeleon, I think I said how, like, I think it's cool that it learns Dragon Pulse and stuff like that, because I like Pokemon getting moves of different types that are really, like, drastic like that. And that's one of the things I like about these Pokemon, too, is that, like, Pikachu and Raichu learn Surf, and, like, that's super cool. I don't even know why it's cool. It's just cool to me. Seeing an electric type hit Surf is just neat. Especially later on where it became more thematically appropriate. But, oh, Jesus. Another funny thing, too, as far as, like, my personal interaction with Raichu is that I have a shiny Raichu in Pokemon Let's Go that I got while I was attempting to find a shiny Bulbasaur. I was looking for a shiny Bulbasaur, and I came across shiny Metapod, shiny Pikachu, 2 shiny Weedles. Like, I've been trying for a while to get a shiny Bulbasaur, and I have found literally everything but a shiny Bulbasaur. But yeah, that's Raichu. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. That's Raichu, I say. That's Pikachu and Raichu, but you can see where my brain's at. Where that's Raichu, because like, yeah, Pikachu's great. Pikachu's cute and Pikachu's cool, and Ash's Pikachu is really tough and sick and everything. And like, Pikachu, like by extension, got Raichu a lot of stuff, because now Raichu gets Iron Tail, Volt Tackle, Surf. I think in some games they get Fly still. Like all of these things that Pikachu got because of the anime all transferred, like they all trickle up to Raichu in a way. So I mean, thanks for that, Pikachu. But I do wish Raichu would get a little more love, even though he's gotten love. He got an alternate form and he got a Z move. But like, all I'm saying is that just put him in Smash and like put him in everything and put him in Pokken, put him in everything. I love Raichu. He's adorable. And he's got just like the wackiest move pool I've ever seen. So, but yeah, that's them boys. That's them boys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think, where you stand on the Pika Raichu war. Who's your favorite? And all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys later.